as we're waiting for others to come on, just to review the agenda with everyone, and then I'll start with my opening remarks. So we will first of all welcome everyone. This is great to see everybody. I'm really excited about this session. I'll say that again in my formal opening remarks. Oh, we have the recording going already, so that's really good. Thanks, Josema. So in terms of the agenda, I'll give you some opening remarks, and then we'll hear from each of the institutes. So I'm really excited for this update. Up to 15 minutes each from each of the institutes. Then we'll do an update. Rima is joining us as the executive director from ICMCI. And then after that, we will get into our general discussion, which is really all about growth in the Americas. So we'll be able to leverage those things that people have said during the updates in that session. So we're planning on 3 hours. We'll have a break about midway through. I'm thinking, we'll have the first 3 or 4 presentations and then get a bit of a break. So I wanted to start by just welcoming you and thanking you for being here. As chair of ICMCI, it's my pleasure to bring you greetings from the board of ICMCI. And I'm also just so pleased that also some of the directors from ICMCI, Robert, Soren, and Gergana are here, and they'll be participating in the discussion as well. And it's my absolute pleasure to open this event of the Americas Hub. It's the location of my home institute. We haven't had a hub meeting for a while, so this is really a rather special agenda. It's partly to catch up with each other, so we have sessions from each of the institutes, but it's also to consider how we can improve the reach into professions throughout the Americas. So 2020 has been quite the ride. It's been a really busy time at ICMCI, and I know it's been a busy time in each of your institutes as well. But from the perspective of ICMCI, we have continued to work with all institutes to build collaboration and to figure out new and better ways of working together. And the challenges that we've been through have also brought opportunities. In spite of, or maybe because of the travel restrictions, we've pressed ahead with all of our sessions. This year, we're doing all of our hubs virtually, and we've created additional virtual types of events out of ICMCI. So this has created opportunities for networking and collaboration at the consultant level around the world that's never been possible before. So in my own case, I've attended more workshops and events around the world than I could have ever imagined possible in 2019. I don't get as many airline miles, but it's easier on the body in terms of logging on through Zoom. I do remember our discussions in Nassau at the annual meeting in 2019, and we talked then that consulting was entering into a state of disruption. The pandemic has really emphasized the changing way that our client organizations think about professional services. COVID has accelerated the change of work in so many ways. It's also accelerated the change and changed the way that client organizations are thinking about how and when they use professional consulting services. So clients now are really thinking less, and this has been increasing over the years. They're thinking less about the big ticket projects and more about the best individual that they can find with the skills required to solve the problem that they've identified, and then walk with them that last mile to have this willingness to implement solutions in a sustainable way. So that's a trend that's really good for consulting. It's good for our institutes and ICMCI because it does create this visibility of expertise, which is what we're all about as a global profession. The second major thing underway is this access to knowledge, and access to knowledge is greater than it has ever been. Augmented intelligence is here to stay. I know I rely on my phone for all of those things that I can't remember off the top. So this is good for the industry, but it's not so good for institutes because our reputation, our ability to be that central body of knowledge for the profession is being eroded by that, because new entrants into the profession can see and feel that they can get the knowledge that they need for their practices in different ways. Access to networking is also incredibly strong now, again, more than ever before. Individuals can reach out and connect with each other anywhere in the world through all kinds of different social media platforms. So that's good for individual consultants, the industry generally, not so good for institutes because, again, we tended to be that focus for networking within our geographic borders. And then there's the perceived availability of talent. I think of that as the Uberization of consulting. It's undermining our status of the trusted advisor, where people would reach out to the management consultant that they thought would have the answers, as opposed to going online and finding a skill set, which might not have the training in consulting, and particularly in management consulting, to really get the diagnostics right, and instead relying on someone that has perhaps recently retired from their industry and says that they're an expert in the field and have the business card that says, I am a consultant. So there's, looking at numbers around the world, there are increasing numbers of individuals entering the industry of consulting. But because of these factors that I've given to you, easier access to knowledge, easier ability to network, the role of the institute as the professional home of the industry of consulting is under threat. So now, to me, that kind of thinking is counterproductive. In times like these, with increasing pace of change, increasing threats of disruption from multiple different sources, institutes have a critical role to play. The ability to network, to share experiences and ideas, to improve on best practices, and to keep abreast of the latest changes. These all require a mechanism, such as the Institute, to bring consultants together. So our challenge then is to demonstrate to new entrants and existing members that we can create value for them. And how we do that will require some out-of-the-box thinking. So I'm always excited when our best thinkers come together at events like these to share information and to think about how we can improve our reach as consultants and as institutes, and in whichever other ways that we can possibly imagine. So that's enough from me. I wanted to give you that overdate, some perceptions that have come to top of mind for me over the last year. I want to welcome you again. I'm very excited for the agenda to get underway. So we're going to start with our roundtable update. We're going to hear from each one of the institutes. Please hold your presentation to a maximum of 15 minutes. And if you wanted some discussion, make sure that the discussion's built into that 15 minutes as well. As we have only 3 hours and we want to have some time at the end for talking about our common challenges in the Americas, we do need to be disciplined as we're going forward. So first up is Brazil. Can I ask whoever is representing Brazil to introduce themselves and introduce your delegation, and we'll hear from you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Luis Viana. Now I'm the chair of the IBCO, the Institute. I'm here, and Flavio is the delegate of the IBCO, the ICMCI, and we make a presentation, okay? First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation, for the opportunity to present a little bit of IBCO to the other members of this hub, okay? Thank you for the opportunity to introduce yourselves. I am Flavio. Our board was elected to the end of 2020 for the term of 2021 to 2022. So the board is practically entirely new, with the exception of Orlando Pavani, who was the president of the IBCO in the last year. Flavio is a delegate, and Flavio, you show the presentation to the IBCO for all. Okay, so thank you. This is the members of the new board. I'm chair, Catarina Amaral, the first vice chair, Aline Gonçalves, Orlando Pavani, Flávio Oliveira, Mauri Pimentel, and Marco Ribeiro. So I will pass the word to Flavio. Flavio will continue to make this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Luis, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here to talk to you again. Some of you I already know, some of you I'm knowing just today, so it's very exciting to be here. It's my first appearance in America's Hub. I think this is very good to get in touch with you again. So Luis have made a short introduction. I just like to talk a little about IBCO. It is a very old organization in Brazil. We started to work in 1968, so it is about 53 years by now. During the foundation in 1968, Big Five Consulting took part of this organization. They left occasionally after that, but in 1980, we merged with IBCO. It is another institute of management consulting in Brazil. IBCO still works, is still on the market. In 2000, we joined ICMCI through the membership, and in 2003, we become a permanent member through the auditing to become a full member. Also in 2003, we started to concede the CMC certification for the Brazilian consulting. In 2040, it is an important milestone for us. We started to do the training course of management consulting, basically based on the framework of the book of knowledge. So we start to develop a new tool to make this training to these consultants. In 2014, it was the first Brazilian project to appear in Constantino's International Award. I was there in Seoul in 2014. It was also a very important milestone for Brazilian consulting and for IBCO. In 2017, it was the last QAC auditing of IBCO, and we are planning to be audited in this year again. So 4 years later, we are now preparing to be audited again. In 2021, as some of you may know, we performed the first Brazilian consulting Constantino's Award. It was also a very important milestone for us. We are now changing the way the management consultants see IBCO and the importance of joining this institute. And now we have 15 CMCs. We know that this is a small number, but we are working hard to increase this. And we have by now 63 active members. So this institute is actually struggling to get bigger and gather new members and take new members for our institute. So quickly speaking, since 2002, IBCO has attended, whenever possible, of course, the main ICMCI events. We understand that the interaction with professional ICMCI members around the world is essential for our growth. So we have some appearance since 2002. In some of these occasions, I was there, for example, in Seoul and Nordwijk, and other representatives of IBCO have attended the other meetings. In the Americas Hub, I think this is only the third time we are attending. The first one was in Jamaica and Toronto, and now 2021 online. And we at this moment have a representation in 2 committees of ICMCI, which was Christian Miggins and Finance Committee and Quality Assurance Committee. So we are participating in every possible ways for us. We are trying to get in touch with you and participate in all these events. In this new board that started in the beginning of 2021, we have set or updated the values of IBCO, which was values are clear in line with what expected for Management Consulting Institute. They are based on ethics, knowledge, professionalism, credibility, and trust. Of course, there's a description of each one of these values, but it is important to state the big picture for you by now. And also we have a mission and a vision. In mission, of course, is to contribute to the excellence of organizations consulting practice through products and guidelines aimed to the continuous improvement of consultants to meet the needs of its clients in an ethical and professional manner, considering best international standards. And our vision is to be recognized as a representative entity and the main reference in management consulting in our country. So we are trying to get there. There is a plan to do this, and this plan is based on our mission and vision. The strategic plan for 2021 and 2022 was updated and is based on 4 pillars. So customers, finance, international process, learning, and growth. In turn, these pillars were divided into 9 dimensions. For each dimension, action plans were planned, as I'm going to show you shortly. We have for each one of these 9 dimensions, some actions planned to be carried out in the next 2 years. So I'll do a quick overview of these actions because I think this is not the purpose to detail every and each one of these, but improve the visual identity, develop communication material, link materials and actions to strong names that can endorse our name, the IBCO, our name. So including class councils in Brazil, academies, universities, and such things. Develop a relationship and presence in the media. So we are trying also to be more present in the media. Negotiate permanent appearance in recognized Brazilian publications. So all of these to strong the image, expand products portfolio for customers and groups, for all customer groups. So we have new products such as annual congress, network meetings, consultants day events. So it is quite close now. Research execution and sale of this research, thematic seminars, good practice consulting cases to share among the IBCO members, and to develop a bank of ideas and questions to be consulted by any of members of IBCO. Intensifying strengthen communication with customer relationship channels. So improve the website, turning it more interactive and communicative. Intensify presence in social media for clients and other interest parties, other shareholders. Implement communication relationship actions. We are working on that too. Promote the proximity and work with consulting contracting organizations. It is very important for us to strengthen our image of the management consulting as partners of this contracting organization. So map the target organizations and define products to serve them. Define or develop new products for this specific marketing of contracting organizations. Define and implement marketing approach, of course, is absolutely necessary to do a good job in this case. Expand sources of revenue and to ensure economic and financial feasibility for the institution. This is a very important and a problem we are trying to solve, the financial and economic feasibility of the institute. So expand and retain membership. There are some actions we are planning to do. So it is important to make the process simpler, create different categories of members, develop benefits to these members additional benefits, develop and training and development partners, defining accreditation process and accredited partners, develop sponsored events, define actions to commercialize the research, and expand the dissemination of Constantinos Brazil in order to get more and more projects taking part of this award, which was very successful in the first year. But we had just a little projects participating in the award, so we are trying to increase the number to make it more representative in all regions of Brazil and with different types of projects as well. So restructuring, training and development programs. We are trying to automate online trainings and make sales of this training. Develop partnership with sector councils for example, the administration, accounting, engineering sectors, and its institutes as well to really become partners in this sale and performing of these trainings. 7, improve and enhance the certifications, particularly the CMC certifications, but also about the 2700 ISO. Develop media campaign to publicize the CMC process, invite CMCs to periodic events. So this is also one thing we are working in to highlight the competence and benefits of certification. Start certification of consulting firms according to ISO 2700. The 80th dimension, redesign operational process and reduce costs. So this is an internal question. So develop sponsored events, develop actions to sell consultants research, improve the sale of IBCO and assist consulting in selling their services. So we are trying also to get this process better. And the 9th, develop new organizational and managed model. So review the internal process, hire a professional secretary. We already did that. Until now, we are working only with volunteers. So we know that this is quite difficult. So we already hired a professional secretary and organize finally an annual schedule for all these events and all these actions to take IBCO to a new level of performance and image in Brazilian management consulting market. So this is it. I think this should be really quick. If you have any questions or if you want to move forward, feel free. Luis, do you have any other thing to say by now? That's okay.
No. I want to say that I believe that this.
I'm not hearing you.
Hear me now?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that our actions in IBCO can be there be some actions in the IBCO that we can make use and have conversation with the other members that we can use these actions in the Americas and other countries and think together, how to grow up our consultants.
I think this is the main purpose of this discussion today.
Yes.
Bring new ideas and
bring new ideas.
Pick the better ones. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Dwight, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you. And well timed to the minute. So I appreciate that logistically. But in terms of content, thank you. I think this is excellent. And as you say, Mr. Viana, this is exactly what this is about. We want to share best practices so that everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And afterwards, then it allows us to make connections to share with each other in more detail. So if you could send your slides to Josema, please, and then we'll put it together a package from this session as well. So if you could stop your share, please, and we'll now move on to the second one on our agenda, which is IMC USA, please. So Julia, are you going to start off and introduce your members, or where would you like us to start? Oh, Konstantinos, okay, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Now it seems that IMC USA is in full house mode today. We have our past chair, Juan Negroni, our newly elected chair, Julia Dembkowski, and our executive director, Gregory Brooks. So we're very happy to see you. I'll introduce very briefly Julia, and then pass the baton very briefly to Juan if he wants to say a couple of words about our transition, and then Julia will take it on. Now, I'm pleased and honored to introduce our newly elected chair, Julia Dembkowski. For over 30 years, Julia has guided companies with strategic planning, financial and business analysis, organizational policy and procedure development, and executive coaching. Following a successful career in operations and executive sales for prominent companies, Julia actually hit the sweet spot in 2008. She formed Stanford Management Consulting, headquartered in Virginia, and works with business owners and executives focusing on the business side of business. She holds an MBA project management degree from the Keller Graduate School of Business, and a bachelor's degree in hotel, restaurant, and tourism administration from the University of South Carolina. Now, what do you think her clients and her colleagues say about Julia? I just got some tidbits here and there. Here we go. Julia is my go-to authority for business advice. Second one, I would never have ventured into entrepreneurial territory without Julia's assistance. Third one, I attribute much of my profitability to Julia's knowledge and coaching. Fourth one, I admire Julia very much and I'm honored to be associated with her. And last but not least, Julia is a professional management consultant with an exemplary work ethic. Now, our chair, Julia, since joining IMC USA in 2015, has served the National Capital Region Chapter as program chair and treasurer, and she also served the national membership as national membership chair and board member at the national level. One thing I can say, she's certainly gregarious and very compassionate, very passionate for our profession. Finally, she likes to put things in layman's terms with a smile and get to the point, almost always with a good joke. So I'm sure that Julia is enthused in meeting you all and collaboratively growing the Americas. I'll switch it to Juan to say a few words so that Julia can take over. Thank you.
Well, first of all, you interrupted my lunch. I was eating here, that's why. I didn't know I was going to be on today or going to speak. So it's okay, it doesn't matter. I'm finishing because I have 2 clients to come up with. I didn't know.
Life is full of surprises.
It surely is. I'm not exactly sure what to say other than 3 years have been interesting being the chair. It's been full of a few surprises. I think I've had only one bad experience. And in the 3 years, I have met a great number of individuals, not only within IMC, but within your group. Dwight and I have conferred, and I'm sure that Julia will continue doing that with your future chair. I don't know if that's been, I don't think that's been announced, or you haven't selected that individual yet, but it's been a great experience. I like the idea that we continue to exchange information. It's certainly been productive to me personally and professionally. In terms of Julia, I have worked with her since she came on the board. Unfortunately, she made a mistake 2 years ago, a major mistake of having a or 3 years ago, having a conversation with me by the poolside in San Diego. She did not know that what the future would hold for her. But I knew then, as I spoke to her, that she was someone that had a great potential with us, and she certainly has demonstrated that in everything that she's done. If there's anything for the future for all of us, it's not just IMC, but all of us, it's membership and continuing to provide value. What I've experienced is sometimes we collectively talk a lot about the what's, what we need to do, but we don't put enough emphasis on the how, because in the end, that's where everything lies. That's the only way we can have sustainability. And if we don't do that, we're going to go by the wayside. I've said to Julia that what I'd like to do now that I'm no longer the chair is to concentrate on retention. We're going to obviously put a lot of effort on membership. She has taken that responsibility, and of course we'll be passing the prime responsibility to someone else, but it's on retention. I believe that, and I don't know what your group does, but we look at the number of individuals who become members of IMC and leave because that connection with them is not made. In the US, we often talked about the buddy system. Once an individual joins, it is important to be connected with that individual, not just for a short period of time, but ongoing till we grab them and we pull them in and they can't leave whatsoever. And that's one of my goals as we move forward, retention of an employee. And of course, to assist Julia, and not only Julia, but the entire board. I guess I've reached a point where I have IMC in my blood. I used to be in the hospitality industry, and we used to say, in order to be successful in hospitality, you've got to have it in your blood. You can't be thinking in terms of a 9-to-5 job, but it has to be in your blood. And I think I've reached a point where it is in my blood, unfortunately, because it takes a lot of time, but it's gratifying. So that's what I see in terms of the future. And my esteemed colleague, Ms. Stumkowski, I finally got to be able to pronounce her name. Some of you know that I'm Cuban born. I'm Spanish. Spanish is my first language. And sometimes I have difficulty with English names, any names. So Julia, let me turn it over to you. And if I go blank, it's because I want to finish my lunch before I get to my clients. I apologize. Not that you're not important, but they're kind of important too. Take care.
As one of our previous board members used to say, clients provide nutritional value. So we got to take care of those clients. Thank you, Costas and Juan, for the most generous introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here and meet all of you. As you know, I've been chair for all of a week. And I did meet Juan at the conference in San Diego. And what about 3 months later, he called to ask me if I would join the board. So I am actually completing my second year, or I should say starting my third year on the national board. So it's been a whirlwind. As of last year, Juan approached me about being chair. So we just had me dig in and I've had like 5 jobs this whole year. So on one hand, I'm thinking chair might be easier, but on the other hand, maybe not. But I have been national membership chair, which has been a fantastic experience. And also on the XCOM committee. So it has given me a really good opportunity to kind of dig in and get the big picture of IMC. So I'll just jump into a little bit of details. Please forgive me, my first meeting. I'll know next time if you want a PowerPoint presentation or whatever, but I'm going to just speak from the heart at this meeting. We, at this point, have 180 CMCs, and we have 475 members. So our focus is to increase those numbers. And our number one goal this year is to really focus on how do we follow this road to 1,000. So all of our initiatives are really driving about membership, because that is our most valuable asset, and to increase the opportunities that these members can see value. And as Juan pointed out, one of the areas that we've identified over the past year is that there is a retention problem. And I think that's true for many associations. And so what we just launched, which I truly believe is going to be great, is an ambassador program. And so we're looking for those people, like Juan said, that have IMC in their blood, the positive, want to reach out and welcome new members and get them engaged, because we believe that engagement is the key to retention, and not engagement to the point where, you know, they check in and they never check out, or that, you know, their total life becomes IMC. Because I think that's a problem with a lot of associations, is that there's so few volunteers. So that brings me to the next focus, is how do we make being a volunteer easier? Because we tend to, and look, I just lived it for a whole year. It's been, and with all that 2020 has given us, in those silver linings, we're all more connected. I feel like IMC USA has actually benefited from that, because we are so connected now across the United States, and we've had international opportunities to connect with folks like yourselves, and through other meetings. So maybe a year and a half ago, I would have been really nervous getting on a Zoom call. And now it's like, well, just send me a Zoom link. And so I think that is one of the areas where IMC has been so important for me over the last 2 years, and specifically the last year, is that it has removed those state lines. And I now have clients in California and Arizona, and I know many of you probably work internationally. I have not yet, but it's the connection that we can make via Zoom and be able to reach more clients. And so I find that very exciting. So some of the things that we are working on, I just shared with you our goal of 1,000. But then we're also looking at, what are we going to give those 1,000? How are we going to treat them? How are we going to engage with them? How are we going to promote community education and certification? And so we're really going to focus in looking in all of those areas. And even to the point of social media. So how do we also expand who we are reaching when we're promoting our programs and meetings and whatnot? So we've, in the last year, maybe year and a half, we've began to focus on social media, and it's working. It's everybody knows it's one of those things that you have to tip your toe in the water and continue with it, and to get the benefits. And so it is working. So we have a big focus on marketing, communication, getting known, member visibility. One of the coolest things, I attended our chapter president's call when I think it was when I first got on the board, or a few months after. And I just said, what do y'all need? What do you need from us? And we have this awesome gentleman who's in Philadelphia who said, we need exposure. We need social media. We need to get known. And so that's how that started, which tells me loud and clear, that's what we have to focus on. We have to show up to their meetings. We have to say, what do you need? And then we have to produce it. We have to do it, because that's how we can go back to them and say, okay, this is what we need. So, and then with all that, we're focusing on efficiencies, and that's something all of us focus on. So we have a new platform that'll be launching very soon, Member Clicks. We've had a lot of issues with our membership platform over the last few years. And so the new Member Clicks is going to streamline a lot for us. And also with that, we'll have a learning management system. And with that, that's it. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you guys and meet everybody.
That's wonderful. Thanks. We have a minute or so left if there's any questions for Julia.
I thought that was the be quiet.
That was the 1 minute. That was the 1 minute left. Sorry.
Note to self. Note to self. When Dwight does this, it means
1
you have
minute
1 more
left.
minute.
Thank you, Julia. Sorry about that. I hate to be a pain on the logistics. Randy, go ahead.
I have one question, Julia. How many chapters would you have across the U.S. roughly?
10.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that has dwindled over, from what I'm told, at one time USA had 20, but traffic and distance and geography, lack of volunteers, that has had an effect. So our largest community is our at-large community. And so we're really focusing on how do we really serve that community? Because I think that is the future, is the at-large community. And Zoom and the way that we meet now is definitely going to feed into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, virtualization really is changing the way we work, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that moves us on to the Caribbean. Don, you're on deck here. So can I get you to give us your overview, please?
Yes, you can.
There he is. Hi.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so is it up, everybody? And
It is.
good morning, afternoon. Well, good morning, afternoon to all. I see Sarin on, I see Joe on, so Rima, Kazima, so good afternoon as well. Okay, the Caribbean vision. Let me just put this on the present mode. Give me a second here. How's the screen showing of everybody? Those of you who may be asking, what is the CIMC? Well, the Caribbean Institute of Certified Management Consultants, as we were originally called. We changed our name legally 2019. It went through the books in Barbados, where Secretariat is actually found in 2020. So our name is now Caribbean Institute of Management Consultants. That name change is reflective of our reality and what we're trying to grapple with in our region to remain relevant and to keep pace with our colleagues from around the globe. Now, as you can appreciate, the Caribbean is an archipelago. We have 14 countries where we draw membership from. We actually have a footprint of 27 countries, including the dependent Dutch countries, French, English, and Spanish. But for us, our reality is one of constant disruption. And that disruption speaks to a number of things. It speaks to economic uncertainty. It speaks to a bit of survival mode in terms of let us look out for our island or our country as such. So there's always a need to basically try to bring and keep the various players together. As a membership is drawn from around the Caribbean region, so is our board of directors and executives. And so just to give a background or to draw a picture, we're talking about an executive and directorate that is easier to actually knead together and easier to basically work as one than the broader membership. And all of that really is drawn from the things I mentioned earlier, like the economic uncertainty, the disruptions, but there's some other things as well too. The competition in the Caribbean is fierce. It's fierce because we import probably more consultants in terms of doing work than almost any other regions, with the possible exception of the African countries, etc. But what is so interesting about this particular environment is that I've always said, and I've emphasized this to Dwight over and over. I didn't have a chance to really speak to Soren, who was in the chair before Dwight. But you see the unorganized, if you may, but organized competition coming here. But the CMT Global Group, what has an official tie to this region, never really, well, I should say the members, not the CMC Global Group, but our colleagues from around other regions didn't understand that this was a fertile hunting ground or feeding ground for our colleagues in other countries or other institutes. So for us, this America's Hub, the retooling of the America's Hub, or putting together something that even closely parallels what happens in Europe and Asia, is a big thing for us small island development states in terms of what it does for us and for our recruiting efforts. It gives new members, or give potential members a vivid example or picture of what can be brought to the fore, or what we can leverage in this jurisdiction here. So for us, what actually separates us in a number of ways from our colleagues in the Americas, specifically Canada and the USA. Even though I'm not sure that there's any real regulation anyplace else, but the unregulated nature of our sector is really impacting. It's a constraint, but because of the unregulated nature, it's also an opportunity as well too. And another thing that's in the mix as well too, and it is the same across CMT Global, aging practitioners. We need youthful injection. Our members are becoming basically steeped in the old ways as such. And so as such, the dreams that we dream, that we've actually articulated years ago, are not being crystallized at the pace that it could be. And so I'll say once again, this move by Dwight to really get everybody on one page and talking as a hub will certainly impact us quite a bit. Now, in terms of what we're doing in terms of the way forward and how we're strengthening ourselves. Now, I'm not saying there's all doom and gloom in the Caribbean, because we come together to do some very notable things. ICD 2021 is in 2 weeks' time, and we will have an event that will probably be one of the more watched events through the CMT Global Network. But for us, we know it's the conversations. We know we need to keep on talking. We know we need to increase the dialogue between CIMC and our sister or brother institutes in this region. We know we need to increase the dialogue with our colleagues from around the world too, because it is a global village. To coin that phrase, that old adage, it is a global village, and one that we as CMCs and CMT Global members should be able to navigate easily given the size of our membership. 64,000 members really speaks to opportunities and speaks to the need for us to be able to dial into each other. We have begun rolling out some webinars, but not at the pace that I anticipated when I first presented this way forward vision, if you may, in 2020. So we continue to do so, but in terms of us needing that youthful injection and us needing our members to really roll up their sleeves a bit more, yes, I understand about volunteer work, etc. But I do understand that whenever a CMC or a CMC global member commits to doing something, it should be all in. Accountability is one of the things that we will be emphasizing more and more, because it speaks that if you commit, then you should be all in. For example, we shouldn't have anybody on a global committee who is not really lifting their weight locally. So there are some things there that we see that the conversations will help as such. The website, yes, we're working on that as well too. We have engaged an outside person to help as such. We see the need for us to really push ethics exam, not just for our members, but for the broader community in the Caribbean and such. And these are things that we see that we can do in addition to the education, offering seminars to the broader network or to the broader sector, ways of us strengthening our network and bringing more persons to us. Now, our vision for the future. Embracing artificial intelligence to improve our competitiveness. Now, Dwight said earlier that with this new paradigm, et cetera, and everybody on virtual meetings or virtual platforms 24/7, that the role that we played in the past, we being CMT Global, has changed. Members can now access things that they at one point relied upon the local institutions and ICMCI to provide. So we need to find ways to embrace that, to embrace how we work with that, to strengthen our network, and it has to be through availability and access to good projects. Youth movement, it's a plus if you get it, but it's something that we need, that we really, really, really need. It's critical. A strong and vibrant America's Hub that our members can see and feel, that power us a CPA. For example, my sister is a CPA, okay? And the leverage that she gets from being a CPA, goes a hell of a lot further than I get from being a CMC. Now the CMC is, I will take that over the CPA designation any day, but we need to really begin to find ways to show that unity so we can really, really, really trumpet and highlight CMC Global and our CMC designation as such. I think that in Americas, I think it starts with a hub and it starts with Canada and the USA holding hands and moving forward. We can no longer play the independent game as such. Commitment means everybody committing to make this happen as such. And if that happens, we see multiple celebrations, such as what we had in 2019. As I prepared these 5-page slides, it hit me that the last conference we had was in 2019. And it happened after a major hurricane hit the Bahamas. And as I said, that it's not all doom and gloom, because we will come together to do big things, even though there's some road bumps, if you may. But I'm looking forward to this hub crystallizing, as it should, and future celebrations. And on that note, on behalf of the Caribbean Institute of Management Consultants, we'd like to thank you. So forget the thank you, but Caribbean Institute thanks you for your attention. And remember to celebrate ICD 2021. Our theme this year, my colleagues, is Caribbean Consultants Pivoting for Industry 4.0, 5.0. Thought leaders embracing artificial intelligence. Those are our thoughts. Those are my thoughts. And I thank you for your rapt attention.
Thank you, Don. Very much appreciated. I really appreciate the insights and the thoughts that you have for us on this. There's no question that collaboration is the key in my mind. So that brings us, actually, we have a minute or two. So are there any questions for Don?
And by the way, this is our celebratory mug here. It says ICMC, but it should not be ICMC, and it's full of coffee.
Don, one thing, if I may ask you to send us the presentation so that we put all together as a resource for the attendees. Thank you.
I'll do that right now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Don, again. I appreciate that. So next up on the list is IMC Canada, or CMC Canada, as they're officially known. I think Donna's going to take the lead on that, but could you also please introduce the team from Canada that's on the call?
Sure, yes. So hi, everyone, and thanks, Dwight. So I'd like to introduce our delegates that are here today. We have Glenn Yanamitsu, Chris Harper, and Randy Baldwin, who are joining us today on the call, as well as my colleague at National Office, Mariah Thomas. So
Donna, I'll just let you know, I really, it's Chris from Calgary in Canada, and I love your background. It's snowing here. I just thought you'd all like to know that.
I have some work going on in the house, and so I decided to take the call outside. And sorry for you, Chris, that it's snowing, but we're 30 plus here and enjoying the heat. So you might hear some birds in the background that, you know, someday soon you can come visit.
Just rub it in, eh?
Great. Well, I have a quick presentation to share with you all. So I'll share my screen here. All right, can you all see this? All right, so I'll go right into it. So just a quick overview of basically, you know, what I really wanted to focus on what our goals are for this year and where our focus is in terms of the institutes across the country and national office. So just quickly at a glance, so we have 3 delegates, as I mentioned, Chris Harper, Randy Baldwin, and Glenn. And we also have our trustworthy chair that we're so happy that we get to work with him locally as well in Dwight. And, you know, I think CMC Canada is very fortunate to have such a great roster of delegates that are able to, you know, share back and forth from CMC Canada to global and back on best practices and what we're trying to do. I'm hearing it in everyone's presentation that we're just trying to, you know, and you'll see it under Canada, we have to get younger, because if we don't, then we're doomed. So we're really focused on getting younger, and it sounds as though everyone else is as well. So thank you to Global for initiating this. I think it's a great step in the right direction in order for us to pool our efforts and our resources and really emphasize the targets in which we need to touch. We can't talk about it anymore. We have to start, you know, hitting those targets, hitting those target markets, the young professionals, and ensuring that all of our organizations stay healthy and that the designation is well advocated for in the marketplace. So that's just a little bit of an overview. So CMC Canada's strategic priorities. So this runs from, this was initially supposed to run from 2020 to 2023, but given the just the sheer kind of extent of what we need to do, we've expanded it, and given COVID as well, that kind of hindered some of our work. We've expanded it to 2025, which is great. So we have a lot of time to hopefully you know, attain a lot of our objectives. So we have 3 top priorities. So one is to promote the designation and to ensure that the CMC is the preferred designation for management consulting across Canada. we need to grow the association, so really emphasize and communicate a value proposition that makes the CMC designation indispensable to management consulting practice. And evolve the profession. We have to modernize the profession to reflect Canada's diversity and evolving needs of clients. So we kind of so we're always coming back to our 3 strategic priorities, and then how do we get there and what can we do in order to be successful in those 3 areas? So we are really emphasizing the entry phase. We need to get people in the door. We need to, you know, we're hosting so many PD events and webinars and opportunities to connect and collaborate, and we're just getting people aware. We've increased our social media presence as well, which has really been helping, and it's really come back positively. We've had an increase of over 100 followers on a weekly basis, so it's really working. So we've emphasized the entry phase. We want to get people in the door, and we want to get people through to certification and get their CMC. So we're enhancing the touch points and the communication of the institutes with the candidates, and ensuring they have sponsors and mentors to ensure that they're guided along the journey of obtaining their designation. And we have to keep, I've heard this on several of your presentations so far, we have to demonstrate value and keep people. They can't just come and knock on the door for a year and leave. We have to keep them around. And how do we do that? So some key initiatives that we chose to focus on in order to obtain those objectives. So we need to raise the brand awareness, and our target markets are the executives, the young professionals, and the students. We feel as though the executives have a quicker path to their designation, and they feel that within what has happened in this last year, the consulting profession in Canada and globally for that matter has changed immensely and has become quite attractive to people who have either moved on from careers given the pandemic or are choosing just to change directions completely. And so executives and experienced folks is one of our targets. And then, as we're all saying, we need to get younger. And I think that we should really be emphasizing on the notion of gig economy and what are young professionals looking to do. No longer are they staying at jobs for, 10, 15, 20 years, let alone maybe even 5 or 6 years. They're moving around quite often. And I think this designation really leads to that type of nomadic career style for young professionals. So how can we become younger within our options, our delivery, our support? So we're really focusing on that. And we're communicating the value proposition to these target audiences. For Grow, we are implementing a clear pathway to certification. So no longer, I don't know how it is in other institutes, but we don't want it to be confusing. We don't want it to be something that seems unattainable. We want to demonstrate and communicate the fact that this designation is valuable and how can you get there. So we're really trying to emphasize and communicate that clear pathway. And I think, I forget who said it, it might have been USA, but you need to connect with the candidates and who's connecting with the candidates at the right time. So launching your ambassador program is fantastic in terms of getting the folks in. We're launching a mentorship program very soon that will help provide access to candidates who are interested in the profession, in the designation, but they don't know much about, the atmosphere or what the CMC means beyond what we're communicating. And so really having that first touch is really something that we're emphasizing. And then ensuring that when a candidate or somebody comes to a webinar, or somebody comes to an event, or somebody speaks to a fellow CMC, that those touch points are kind of really recorded in terms of ensuring that, the candidate or the individual who's interested in the designation really understands just the value of what this community means and how it can support their careers moving forward. And evolve, we need to promote our existing value. We have a ton of it. I don't think we've done a great job in promoting that in the past, and so we're ensuring that We need to promote the current member benefits and the current community and opportunity to collaborate and share with fellow CMCs and colleagues. We need to increase that value prop. So we need to, you know, although we have great programs in place, there's always room for improvement. So we're working really hard on increasing some of those, the value proposition, and we have to enhance the member experience. I think it was mentioned earlier that although, you know, a year ago, you know, Zoom might have been a foreign thing, now it's just second nature. And I think that we have to embrace that. We've really just kind of, there's no more borders. Everyone's welcome. We get a ton of people from the US attending some of our webinars and our social events. And there's no longer provincial hosted events only for those folks within that province. It's really opened up Canada-wide as well. And we're seeing our participation numbers really skyrocket from going to, you know, 12 people in person to over 200 on a regular basis on a webinar or on a social event. So really enhancing that. I think what we've learned a lot is that CMCs and members at large just they want that community, they want to share and collaborate, and we've really opened the doors and kind of decreased the borders in which people can participate and connect with one another. So some of the key factors that we're measuring is the number of new candidates. So how are we tracking with, you know, traditional numbers, and we're looking at this on a bi-weekly, monthly basis. So we've been successful this year in increasing the number of folks that we've got into the door. So that's very, very positive. We can see that our initiatives are working. We've heard that in the past, the pathway time just seemed maybe unrealistic or unachievable to some candidates. So really, again, those touch points are a key word that we utilize a lot this year, but it's really taking the right people, taking the candidates by the hand and ensuring that you know, they're supported throughout their journey on obtaining their CMCs, and then ultimately the number of CMCs will reflect that work. And then we need to increase the percentage of retention, and we have to increase the number of engagements. So I think we're all in the same boat in terms of our number of CMCs. The average age is an older average of age, so we have to realize that retention is inevitable, and it's our reality, and it's going to happen, but we need to offset that with new candidates, and that's why this all speaks to one another here. So just a few highlights I'd like to share with you today in terms of what we've done this year. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, I'd invite you to please do so. It's called C Notes, and we communicate all of what's happening across the country and from a national basis throughout that newsletter that's sent out every second Thursday. So we recently launched CMC Communities, and I have put in a clickable link here just if you want to click through and go take a look. Excuse me, but there are a number of functional and industry-specific communities that like-minded, like-experienced individuals can go in and share and collaborate. It's a very kind of organic approach in which there's no real set agenda, but what we're seeing come out of these communities is really different on different scopes, in which there's a gender parity initiative where women and men alike are getting together to ensure that Canada has gender parity. There's small and medium-sized folks that want to get together to collaborate and share ideas on how they can support their clients better and how they can navigate their businesses through these trying times. So just go have a look, and we invite you to come in and pop in and say hello within the communities that are of interest to you. We've launched a job board. We've heard that, you know, how can people find the opportunities within the profession and within the CMC community. And so we really feel that this is an opportunity for young professionals to come and search for work, and for our CMCs and firms to post some job opportunities in order to get some access to people within the same community to work on projects together. We've increased the number of certification courses and ISO deliveries this year. I think we are over 4 ethics classes. We just finished an EMC class, and I think we've done over 3 ISO 2700 course offerings. So our goal for ISO was to have 1 a quarter, 15 per session, so 60 certified or ISO certified members, and I think we're well on our way to achieving that. So we're very, very happy about that. As I mentioned earlier, we've increased the number of events that we're hosting, and that's both nationally and at an institute level. So that's provincial institutes in our case in Canada. And the participation rate, we had a women in consulting panel last week that was over 150 participants. We had another small a business focus webinar that was over the 200 mark. So we've really come a long way in terms of ensuring that we're delivering some relevant content for our members. And a lot of these events are free, so please feel free to come in and participate in them as well. I think most of you know that we did have the Catalyst conference a year ago in October, which was very, very well attended as well. We had over 300 participants over the 3-day, and it was condensed into 3 afternoons, so you could work in the morning and then come lunchtime log in on one screen and continue your work on another. And the PD that was offered there and the speakers were just high class, so it was a really well attended and well put on event. We are hosting, so we're piloting, so in our target market of experienced and executives, we're hosting a certification weekend that has 12 registered. So these are 12 candidates who are registered to obtain their certification over a weekend. So this is something that we're piloting right now. It's something that we did speak to Global about in terms of how does that work in providing ethics and some sort of essentials of management consulting teaching over the weekend. Communicating with your sponsor, having your oral assessment, so on and so forth. So if anyone would like some information on that, I'd be happy to share with you in the coming months. We've had a few corporate bookings. So this is, we have a roster of 6 instructors, and they provide instruction to the candidates who are looking to obtain their CMC designation. But also the instructors are looking at small, medium firms or even large firms, and going in and teaching our certification courses. So this has been, we're piloting this right now with a medium-sized firm in Canada, and we hope to have more corporate bookings moving forward. Obviously, we all believe on this call that our certification courses are necessary for the profession and of high quality, and so we want to share that beyond just within our communities. As I mentioned, in terms of social media, we've increased our number of subscriptions, followers, and visits to our website. So that's increasing on a daily basis, and that just goes to show we're putting a lot of time into this in terms of design as well. We're updating our design, our branding, and we're also putting time and effort into ensuring that we're posting relevant content. We're catching CMCs in the news, for example, in the media, and we're engaging with folks within the community to ensure that the CMC designation is well promoted and advocated in the marketplace. We've increased our number of CMC.
Sorry to interrupt, but we are running a little over. So
sure.
Thanks.
Well, this is my last one. So
good timing then.
So someone mentioned partnerships. We have a few new partnerships that we've launched this year, and as I mentioned, our target campaign to the small and medium-sized firms and young professionals is set to launch in the next 2 weeks. There, I told you I was done.
I could have been patient for another 10 seconds, imagine that.
That's fine.
That was very informative. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. That was the great overview. And I know that's chock full of information other people will be interested in accessing. So please do share the slides with Rima and Husseima, and we'll make sure it gets out to all the participants. So that brings us to our last institute to present. This is the CMC Global Institute. We've invited them because the Global Institute does have membership in the Americas, and we thought that it would be really important to involve them in any discussion about growth and accessing other members in the Americas. So in 2012, I remember I was a volunteer for a task force with ICMCI. And we conceived this global institute where management consultants anywhere in the world could come together. So we started a working group in December of 2012, and Tamara was one of the first members of the working group and is now the chair of CMC Global Institute. So I'm very happy to introduce you, Tamara, and ask you to present on the activities of GI, please.
Thank you, Dwight. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm joined by my wonderful colleagues, Otto Acuna, who's the chair of professional development and is based in Costa Rica, and Anis Jabshe, who's our chair of certification and is based out of Doha, Qatar. And of course, Dwight is always part of the team as our past chair and chair of governance. So just like Juan and Julia, IMC is in my blood too. My uncle co-founded IMC Jordan 25 years ago, so it's sort of a calling for me. And when I got involved in bringing the Global Institute to the light together with Rima, Dwight, and many other wonderful colleagues, I knew that I was embarking on an impactful journey. So the Global Institute is the home for management consultants who have no consulting home. That's why we are always looking to collaborate with consultants and institutes everywhere. We believe that we should not reinvent the wheel. That's why we are partnering with training providers and volunteers from other IMCs. So please let us know if you have interesting offering that we can support and offer jointly. We have close to 50 members now, most of which are CMCs, and we are developing the profession in exciting geographies, believe me. But we need all the help that we can get from you to make CMC designation a true global brand. As a virtual institute from the get-go, we could never operate without digitized processes and assets. So COVID did not really disrupt our operations. We've had our LMS, we've had our digital content, but we continue to look for ways to improve our member experience and encourage our members to collaborate more effectively. We have recently launched our ambassadors program. We are hoping to start with Egypt, Ghana, and Ethiopia, but that's another area where we can all collaborate. So if you have contacts in countries where there are no local IMCs, please direct them to us. It's all with the aim of promoting the CMC brand. And just like every one of you, we want to get younger. So we are looking to design an entry-level certification program. This can be yet another area for all of us to collaborate on. Thank you, Dwight and Rima, for including GI here, and I look forward to connect with all of you in the very near future. Thank you. Dwight, you're muted.
I'm always being reminded that I'm muted. I don't know, you'd think I'd learn by now. So any questions for Tamara? It's just to add to your comments, it does get in the blood. I was on the working group with Tamara, and then ICMCI asked me to be the founding chair, which I did carry forward, and that ended up being in parallel to the different duties that I had at ICMCI. So I'm now in the last section of being past chair, and Tamara's in the last months, I guess, of being past. Moving into the past chair role, and the chair designate is Otto Acuna, who's now the chair of professional development. Any comments for us, Otto?
No, just reinforcing what Tamara has said, that we are very eager to collaborate, and also if we can share also how we have managed some of the virtual parts with pleasure. We've done with ICMCI some webinars with regarding, for example, the LMS that I heard that some of you are starting to implement. So you know, there's a lot of lessons learned that can be shared.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so that brings us to a natural break time, I think, because the main part of the agenda after the presentations is going to be focused in on how we do collaborate to penetrate the market, if you will, in better ways and stronger ways in the Americas. And I'm really looking forward to all of us participating. We also have some directors, as I did in the introductions, from the board. So we'd welcome you to participate in that discussion as well. And also if there are members from other regions, I think there are. Yes, our dear friend Happy Joe, who has always been at other institutes, also participate. So what I'd like to do is suggest that we do take a it's 23 past the hour, so why don't we take a 12-minute break now, just to refresh ourselves a little bit, and then we'll come back at that would be what 20 minutes to the hour, and we can then continue on with our discussion. So let's take a break for those 12 minutes. So we should get underway. Thank you all. I think in these meetings, if they go longer than an hour, I think it's good to have a little bit of a break and we can refresh ourselves and get our minds back into the creative mode. So starting with the creative mode, Rima, it comes to you for the update from ICMCI.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for this time slot, Dwight. I just want to cover some of the things that we're doing at the international level, and that's how IMCs maybe can benefit from ideas or become more involved and offer their members more involvement at the international level. But before I start with those, I want to mention one thing. It's something that Donna mentioned and Tamara talked of, and it's the fact that we've been receiving some requests from IMCs asking us who would have material ready for the ethics, who would have material ready for the essentials type of management consulting. So we've been getting requests asking about training materials and training courses. So I would greatly appreciate if members of the Americas Hub who already have such courses online, that they could offer to other IMCs to benefit from for their members, whether for free or against a fee. That is up to you. But I would want to put together some sort of a library of all the offered courses around the IMCs and see how they could benefit other members of other IMCs as well. So if you would do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Then talking about the events, and Dwight mentioned that we have many coming up. I want to give you the exact dates so that you can mark your calendars. The International Consultants Day, which falls on the 3rd of June this year, which is the first Thursday of June. That's the day when it is celebrated. However, ICMCI will celebrate it on the 10th of June. That's to make sure that all IMCs are available, because we have a holiday on that day at some of the IMCs. So please do join us on the 10th. We're going to have a very nice, exciting agenda. We're going to cover many of our other products that will be launched there and then, and I'll tell you about them more. The Asia Pacific Hub will be on the 27th, and I know they have a beautiful lineup of speakers. So if you're interested, please look up the newsletter. All the details are there. The Euro Hub is on the 14th, which would fall after the International Consultants Day. The day is set for our annual meeting, and that's the 14th of October. We will have 2 sessions, morning, afternoon, and we will make sure to fill in the time in between for anyone who has the time and and that time slot is convenient for him or her. They could join us. We will be having some sort of what I've been calling mini conference, and everyone is laughing at me for that. The day before that, which is the 13th, would be our celebration of the Konstantinos International Award. The chair of the award promised me that we will have a beautiful red carpet event, even if virtual. So please make sure that you attend. But before that, make sure that you nominate your best projects. So please, nomination and submission of engagements and contribution is till the 20th of July. So we're nearing that date. So if you're an IMC who already identified who their projects could be, please do let us know, confirm that you will be participating so that we make available the platform to your nominees. With that, I finish talking about our events, because up until then you'll keep hearing from us with the chair update that will be taking place bi-monthly now, and we will have also the webinars. Those will continue. So make sure that you share the webinars with your members, because that is a way, Flavio, Don, you already mentioned this, that your members would want to go international. They would want to meet with other CMCs and other consultants worldwide, talk opportunities, talk about further learning. So please make sure that they are there, because we notice that many of those who attend our webinars end up being friends on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and they start the communication there. So be one of those and make sure your members are one of those as well. I want to talk about the NCI, and I know Robert would be happy that I'm talking about it. Last year at the International Consultants Day, we launched it. This year, we're going to do the COVID version. We already asked you for contributions, and we got some input from the many IMCs. The report will be ready and launched on the 3rd. However, you would be able to discuss it with the task force on the 10th. So please do read it when it's out. It would have good information, valuable information, we hope. That's what the task force is working on, and you would have access to it. Use it for your for connecting with your members. Use it for knowing more about your market, and mostly use it more in your advocacy. It would be a good tool. With that, I'm going to talk about the consulting book, the consultancy book that we are also preparing. You must have all seen the announcements. And most of you are seeking visibility for CMCs, visibility for the IMCs. So please make sure that you contribute in the name of the IMC and have your members contribute in their own names, especially those who are CMCs, where we will put the comma CMC registered trademark beside each name. All will be mentioned. The contributions will be included. And other than that, we're also including insights on the website that would tell people, the headlines of what those contributions could be. So please roll that out to your members. That's how they get visibility international, and that's how you become part of the consultancy book that we hope will be the consultancy book going forward. Other than the consultancy book, Gergana here with us has a very beautiful, let's say, initiative that she launched over a month ago, and it's about the future of consulting. It's putting together the minds of the many IMCs in order to put the vision of what the future of management consulting is. Those are very few words, but I know that you will hear more on the International Consultants Day when Gergana talks about it. So please make sure to be there. And I know that she would want to talk to some of you. I know that she did already do that, but expect an invitation also for a call from Gergana. Gergana is a board member of ICMCI, and she will reach out to you. At the Professional Standards Committee, we're working on updating our competency framework. So you would have a new one that is built based on the previous one, but evolving with everything that's happening around us worldwide, to include the code of conduct. So some of your already available training might need to be adapted, but in general, we're kind of elevating the standards that we have. And by the way, we're using that as the theme for our International Consultants Day, because we are all about standard, we are all about evolving, and we're all about ethics. So that would be the main theme in our International Consultants Day celebration. Talking about the different products, I would say that the CMC directory is growing. We reached the 100 participants in there. What we did was we actually now have CMCs who are members of this directory tell us why they're benefiting from it. And that would help us highlight why you as a CMC should be on that directory as well. The same is happening with the CMC firm, because we're growing that. Within the past 2 months, we had 2 new CMC firms, one from China, one from the Americas, from the US actually. And we know that is gaining traction, that is becoming more apparent as to why it is important to include the corporates within our network, and why the different IMCs would benefit from that. The Quality Assurance Committee, you must have known by now that they launched the 17024 last year, after we got the 17011 audit, and 2 IMCs since then got the authorization. So it is very important for you to look into that. If you remember, we all were talking about the AMCC before, and it's the accredited management consulting courses. Now, with gaining the 17024, then what you are actually doing, you are getting the approval and the authorization of being personnel certification bodies according to the standard. So you give yourself the mark of the standard, you give yourself the, what would the word be? The tool to let everyone know that what you are providing in training is up to par and up to standards. So please look more into it. If you have any questions, just send them to me. I'm willing to support you, make you better understand how that would benefit you. Dwight, if I'm taking too long, just stop me. The other thing I want to talk about is the academic fellows, and we have 11 new nominations this year. It's very important for us to grow that network. The 11 new nominations are from 7 IMCs, and we do hope that the number would be more next year. I know that some IMCs do not even have any academic fellows yet nominated to ICMCI. Flavio, you were talking about increasing your reach with the academic community, and I know that many of you already have that in your plans. So please know that those academic fellows provide a community that supports each other and supports ICMCI. So imagine what type of benefit that you would gain from having academic fellows on this panel. Plus, they're the ones who are going to assist with the writing or maybe the editing of our consultancy book along with our task force and the main writers. Plus, they have been doing a great work in contributing to our webinars. So they have a lot to teach us. We have a lot to gain from them. So let's cooperate and let's increase the number of academic fellows that we have. The last thing I want to talk about is the ISO 20700, and that's good news again to Robert and to Nick from PSC. Most probably we will launch a public training for trainers to accredit more IMCs. I have requests for that, so our 28 IMCs that are already accredited will grow, and we do hope that we will reach the number of 48. We thought that we would have done that by 2021, but I know that we would need to extend because of COVID and everything. So far, we have plus 450 trained consultants worldwide through that network of accredited IMCs. I know that they've been benefiting financially from it. They have a training that is gaining traction, just like Donna was telling us. So that is something that the IMCs could benefit from. It is a small investment at first to actually attend the training and get the accreditation. It's a very small one, but it is an investment. But the income from it and the benefit to the IMC itself is huge, and we've noticed that firsthand. Watch out for the announcement for the public training. If you're not an accredited IMC, then keep an eye open for that, and maybe you would be able to attend. If you already have that in mind and you would want to attend, let me know, because I would be working on assigning the time for the training, and knowing where from around the world would help me in putting a time that is agreeable to many of the attendees that we might have. This is it from me. If anyone has questions, I'm here. Maybe I don't need to take the time off of this call. Just send me your emails. Tell me what it is you have in mind, how I can support you, how me and Khuzaima can support you. You know that Khuzaima is my right arm. So we have a lot happening. There is a lot that would benefit you, and there is a lot that will be discussed at the International Consultants Day. Be with us. Keep an open eye, and we're always there for you. That's it, Dwight. Again, you're muted.
Thank you very much. I have to go on mute, and then when I broke, I was doing a few texts to everybody, and I was not muted, so everybody got to hear my keyboard while we started our break. It's weird. Anyway, I would like to thank you, Rima and Husseima, both. You are absolutely dedicated, and for sure, anybody has a question, reach out, and you will get an answer. There's no question about that. And thank you for all the work you do to keep us coordinated and on track, and getting all of these programs launched and implemented. If there are any questions, we do have a minute or two. And also we have two directors of the board, Robert and Gergana are here. Have you anything to add?
Well, if I have a chance to add, I sure will take it. Thanks a lot, and thank a lot for the presentation. I think the common goal is to grow, and the common goal is the CMC. I think that is it's not only Americas, but it's at least at the Americas hub, it's the common goal. But I think for many other IMCs, it's the same issue. I just wanted to add a few words about the, let me call it, certification journey. It's not a customer journey. I would call it the certification journey. We extended that journey by the entry level ISO 20700 on the one side. It's the entry level. It's a very easy way to attract new consultants to be certified, and they should become interested in the certification process and then grow up to the CMC. So that's on the one side, the whole CMC, and the whole ISO 20700. And I'm really happy to hear that all the institutes, they have it in their agenda, and they are working on that. And that's, for me, that's really good to hear. And I'm sure that's for all of us, it's very important, because next year we will have the evaluation of the standard, and it is always good to go into the committee and say the standard is something that the industry is working with. That's really important for all of us, that we do have as many consultants as possible to agree to the standard and work with the standard. And on the other side of the certification journey, there is the ISO 17024 that levels the value, because for many organizations, many donor organizations, it is important to have an ISO certified certification. And that is why the 17024 is so important, because that gives the CMC certification an additional value, an additional brand. It's an ISO brand to the CMC. So please, I just wanted to mention it, and I think that is what in the board has been discussed, and that's the outcome, basically. Extend the whole process and give additional tools to the IMCs that they can offer to their members and attract more members. And I also want to add it to the NCI, the National Consulting Index. That is something I think it will be very important, because that is, we said we want to publish this year, we need to publish a Corona version, a Corona edition of the National Consulting Index, because many stakeholders in politics, in big clients, for our members, they're all interested in numbers, in figures. And that is why it was so important for us to get the numbers from your IMCs. How do you think the industry will grow? And it is a very good tool to address stakeholders in any way. That's up to you. You are the experts. What are your main stakeholders? But you can approach them, make an event, make a presentation about the NCI. I'm sure Simon Haslam, who's the academic father of the NCI, is very happy to support. And that gives you the chance to address and approach new big client organizations or big clients or the politics. And that gives additional value to your members, because they can get in touch with them. It's like we are doing on the National Consulting Day. It's on the international level, and to do it on the national level for your members, that's something the NCI is made for. and it should support your work. That's why we intend, that's why we invented that. That's it. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gergana, I see you turned your microphone off.
Thank you, Dwight. Just a few words from me as well. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be with you today. What is amazing is how many common topics we have. Most of you and most of us actually have the same issues, which is good because maybe we could find a common solution. Now with the globalization, we're getting to work closer. Maybe we could achieve and accelerate good results faster. And Rima mentioned about the new initiative which we have on talking about the future of consulting. I hope that we will structure or organize the initiative in a way that maybe we could address some of the issues which we all have. We need to listen to clients, and I think we would be able to maybe listen to clients' approach and have common webinars and meetings with external communities. We might listen to clients in banking and energy, in public sector, in startup companies, because they all have maybe different needs. So I hope we would be learning from them. We would also address different parts of consulting. For example, I would be impressed with what Donna has initiated about becoming younger. So we would definitely have a lot of initiatives around giving the floor to young consultants and looking at the universities as well. We were thinking of getting to internal consultants, because maybe this is another area where we could increase the number of members which we have, and many other ideas, including having a block on the future of consulting. So all of you talking about visibility and allowing a global and an international platform for consultants to share their ideas would be also a great opportunity. So we will be launching the initiative on 10th of June, on the day when we will celebrate the International Consulting Day. And I look forward to work with all of you of really achieving good results ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. So that brings us, and I do thank you all for those updates and those presentations. It took up 2/3 of the meeting, but absolutely worth the time, because it's very good to understand where each of us are coming from. So I do thank you for that. So now we move to the general part of the session that we have for today. And in the letter of invitation that I sent out, it was focusing us on this last hour. I think it's important for us to all know where everyone is coming from, but it's to the purpose of now thinking, how do we extend our reach within the region? What are the kinds of things that we can do collaboratively in the Americas, with the support of ICMCI, of course, but collaboratively to find and attract new members, to get them to affiliate with us in whatever way that might be. What is the value proposition? So this is where I think us putting our minds together to come up with this would be really, really helpful. There is a major initiative underway now, the ICMCI 2020 Onwards Task Force. All of you participated in an interview with that task force, and the results are now being pulled together. And I would expect that we will have a report coming to our annual meeting, and something preliminary coming up before that. So that's on the one hand, because that's really looking at the value proposition of how do we attract new entrants into the profession. But then there are those kinds of things, knowing what we each do as institutes in this region. What should we be doing? What can we be thinking about? The last comment I make is as I said in the invitation, it is time to think outside of the box. So let's give ourselves permission to think big and perhaps to throw big ideas out there. And then after that, we can figure out whether or not they're implementable and how best to go about improving our situation overall in the region. So I don't have a structure here except to say that we open it up for discussion. We're all management consultants, so we're all happy to open up on the floor. And I know we'll be always happy to share whatever we're thinking, and the rest of us will be able to accept that in the spirit in which it's given. So so who would like to start? This is where I put the pressure on the table. Okay, I have Konstantinos, and then Joe, we'll come back to you. Konstantinos?
Thank you, Dwight. I'd like to take a bold step forward. Instead of thinking out of the box, go out of the building. This has been mind-boggling. When we were invited for this Americas Hub, I noticed on the map that we barely cover Latin America. It's a white spot. So this kept me thinking, and other things as well. And I've come up with this strange, bold, whatever, disruptive idea. Probably we might possibly try to think, stepping up our game and trying to emulate, quote unquote, chambers of commerce. Meaning, become catalysts, our institutes collaboratively become catalysts for all other stakeholders. This would attract other stakeholders from other parts of society. Additionally, what we can do is formulate horizontal committees having to do dealing with critical issues that our world is facing, and other associations or even other groups are trying to deal with them. For example, corporate governance, corporate responsibility, culture, education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I'm talking about committees. Circular economy, energy committee, even, let's say, intellectual property rights committee, leadership committee, or even women in the business committee. That's one. And secondly, probably we should try and look into in terms of the Americas, look into our territoriality policy. What if Canada, for example, and ICMCI, the more mature, let's say, institutes help Brazil to set a footprint in Latin America, seconded and supported then by ICMCI. A disruptive idea would be, which would be against territoriality policy that we have, but it might be some way forward, open up the doors for consultants in the Americas to join, let's say, CMC Canada or IMC USA or any institute they prefer to join, incubate them for a period of time in our institutes, and then prepare the ground so that CMCGI, when the numbers approach a critical mass, CMCGI take it forward and help them to establish an institute. That's probably another way around. I don't know. I'm just shooting on bold ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we won't look for responses on any one idea. I really appreciate. Let's get these things out on the table and see where we end up after people have spoken. My friend Happy Joe from Japan, you asked for the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I have just only one question. To me, it is very important and large question. First, Dan from Bahama mentioned in his presentation, aging of practitioners. That means management consultants are becoming older and older. And also, Donna of Canada also mentioned younger, get younger. That means also management consultants become older and older. And even in Canada and also all Americas, management consultants are becoming older and older. Is it correct? Oh, this is my question. Thank you very much.
Yes, unfortunately, based on the meetings that I was participating in with the 2020 Onwards Task Force, that's a general problem that in terms of our profession, those that are our members are getting older and older. I don't think that's true about those who say they are consultants, so people in the consulting industry, because the industry is growing quickly and there's a lot of new people coming into it. But those younger people are not necessarily attracted to our institutes. Who's next? Who else has some thoughts they would like to put on the table? Glenn. Glenn and then Don.
Thanks, Dwight, and thanks, Don. I wonder if everyone would bear with me as I try to be a little provocative. And I'm doing this in the whole spirit that Dwight asked to think outside the box.
Glenn's never provocative, are you, Glenn?
Yeah.
How unusual, eh?
Yeah. So I've been involved with IMCs or the regional chapters or ICMCI for over 15 years. And as some of you know, I actually served as the CEO of CMC Canada. I've heard many of the same issues that I heard on the updates. I've heard the same problems. I've heard strategies. In fact, if you allow me, I won't candy coat it. These issues are the exact same issues as we had 10 or 15 years ago. And why are we dealing with the same issues today as we did 10 or 15 years ago? So I'm going to make a comment, and I made this comment to the Canadian board many years ago. Our boards and our IMCs are filled with consultants because that's what we do. And consultants are designed to be critical thinkers, and they're designed to have a look at the mission, vision, and values, reevaluate the value proposition, rebuild the strategy. And the terms of these people in our boards, maybe it's 2 years. So every year we get some new people in, and the new people want to do the same thing over and over again. They want to gaze at our navel, and we want to figure out what our value prop is, and they want to reinvent it. So let me say, we are destroying our IMCs because of our nature. We need more managers. We need people like Donna, Rima, Kuzema, Gregory in the US, who are managers, and we need to allow them to execute. And we screw up all the time, year over year, because we let the consultants be consultants. And I urge everyone who becomes a board member to take off their consultant hat and to learn to be a director and to let your management team manage and execute. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we all have as IMCs. And that's why we deal with the same problems over and over again. And I'll close with saying, I remember the most disappointing thing I ever did when I was at CMC Canada was I read some of the old minutes. And I realized that we were dealing with all the same problems. As consultants, we're terrible executors, and we need to let the managers manage. So I'll stop that, Dwight, and I'll stop insulting everyone here.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. We got some insights on that actually from the task force, and I'll come back to that. Julia, I see you. So I've got now Don is next in line, Otto, then Julia, and Flavio. I think you had your hand up. Okay, so Don.
Sure. I'd like to just piggyback on just a wee bit, right? If we are terrible executionists, that doesn't bode well to speak of our consulting abilities either. You know, from my vantage point, right? Here's what I see. I'm seeing a couple of things. First of all,
Don, you're not coming through.
That we need to get younger.
Don,
we need to do the things that attract.
Yeah, you're breaking up, so
Give me a
maybe if you
second. Okay.
drop your video feed. You're breaking up, Don. Maybe if you drop your video feed and then we can hear you. Oh gosh, we lost him. So while Don's getting reconnected, we have Otto next in line. Otto?
Can you
Yeah,
hear
well,
me now? Hello?
Oh, okay, let's try it now, Don. Okay, Don?
Okay, from my vantage point, right, I admitted earlier on Glenn's submission that we're not good executionists. So if that is the case, then I submit that we're not as good consultants as we should be, because we should be able to deliver. But from my vantage point, if we're all agreeing that we need to get younger, then that speaks to us identifying rather quickly the things that young people are interested in. And I submitted this before, that at the end of the day, when you're 25, 30, and you looking to actually flex your muscles, that breaks down the dollars and cents. That breaks down the opportunities. That speaks to how we, as this august body, in most instances made up of entrepreneurs, how we can assist and facilitate persons to feed so they can contribute to us as such. And then it comes up to something else. A number of our persons seek higher office or seek these director things, and they think it's the end of it all as such, right? And we all know that every one of our executive directors across the board, if you're really putting in 10 solid hours or 5 hours a month of real contribution, we can move mountains. And so looking at those two things alone, I'm seeing something that really, really, really isn't in the forefront. If we want to engage the younger consultants, we need to reach out to them. We need to be prepared in many instances to let them eat sometimes before we eat as such, right? And anything that we see that we can assist, or we can bring in the resources from our bigger brothers and sisters like Canada, and like the USA as such, to support, then it works. I say again, that there are lots of opportunities in my region, of course, a lot of opportunities in Canada and the US that we all can benefit from if we all are thinking along the same lines. That speaks to really using our collective intelligence in terms of understanding what is going on, what opportunities are there for us to go after. If we see something, for example, in Canada that speaks to the need for foreign nationals to do certain things, how do we reach to that? Do we reach out to our colleagues within the network? Or do we say, oh no, that's not for me? And I'm saying the same is true in every region. Do we say that in the Caribbean? That, this is something that Glenn can benefit from, or Donna can and stuff, and reach across. We need more of that, right? And we also need to really get real with this thing. Many persons join us because they're looking to benefit from something. We all have that attrition issue with people joining today and leaving the following year because there is no real networking. They don't really see the benefits that they think or that we sell to them. Education is one thing for sure, okay? But the ability for us to point our members, to point new members, the places where they can actually gain some tangible benefits, that's the key. So we have to really get real and look at those things because that's the way to grow. And we'll find that younger members will really bring that energy that seems to be missing as such, right? I know 10 years ago, the energy for me was more vibrant than it is now as such. And then we need to look at our succession plans. The same faces for the past 10 years as such. No new faces at all. Even if we carve out 2 or 3 spots for persons who may who we have the point there. So I rest my case there as such, right? I have a lot more to add, but I rest my case at this point.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Don. Very good points. But as I said, we're just going to continue on gathering information at the beginning. So that was Don. Then I've got Otto. After Otto, it's Julia, and then Flavio. So Otto.
Yes, thanks, Dwight. I just wanted to share a little bit of the strategy that in my case, I'm the only one basically who speaks Spanish in GI. And, beyond that, I think there's another colleague from GI that is in Spain, but basically that's it. So based on that, what we have been doing, and as many of the smaller institutes, we always have a struggle with achieving the critical mass on different things. So for example, in Arabic, we already have a good critical mass, and so things start moving along faster. In Latin America, which is basically Spanish speaking, what we find, I have been reaching out to different chambers, what Constantino said. For example, the Chamber of Bogota in Colombia has a program for consultants where I had some preliminary conversations with them, and they would be eventually interested in some something regarding GI or ICMCI, doesn't matter. In other countries, what we have is that the associations are more based on not necessarily on the functional specialty. So you get, for example, in Mexico, the association that has all the consultants have industrial engineers, civil engineers, people that does construction consulting, etc. There, it is very mixed. So part of the problem is that in the bigger countries, there isn't necessarily a critical mass. And well, with RIMA, at some point, we were exploring in Colombia some other people that claim to be management consultants, but they turn out to be something else. So basically, what are we looking at in terms of Latin America? I just let's say graduated from trainer as ISO. So one of the things that the ISO 2700 does, and what I think is great, is that it is an entry level point that can be done in Spanish and without any experience prerequisites, someone can take that. So that is, at least from my point, one way of starting, coming out with an offering that has value. And something that happens in Latin America is that if you get people from probably 45 to 60 years old to 50 years old, 45 to 50 up, many of them are not comfortable with speaking in English. They usually, the old Latin America used to work mostly in Spanish. And probably Flavio has experienced that when he has gone to other places. So you only get young people who is fully bilingual in a way to have a conversation fluently. Mid-life down. So what we are thinking right now is first, put in front an offer of ISO training in Spanish. That's one thing. But the other thing is that, as well as many of you have, our live webinars are free. But basically, most of those webinars are in English because, again, not everyone speaks Spanish. So in your own institutes, I would say, as an idea, if you have members who speak Spanish and are able to provide content in Spanish or participate in activities in Spanish, I would gladly incorporate them and do let's say, a program of activities. And we are now digitizing. We're in the process of digitizing with a collaborative environment. I'm sorry, Tamara is not here today, but this morning we were looking at a platform that would allow us to go fully virtual in all the collaborative, the collaboration with members and third parties associated to us. So what we need is critical mass of people who speaks Spanish. So one way of doing that, you know, in the US and probably in Canada and in Brazil, there are many people that feel comfortable communicating in Spanish. So we could provide an agenda of activities that you know, I'm connected practically to all the different groups that have consultants that are in Spanish. And usually, you know, when we share many different activities, some show up, the ones who feel comfortable with English, but in Spanish the turnout is completely different. So one way or one idea where other institutes can join in this mission of getting more critical mass of members in Spanish is actually reaching out in your own membership to see if people that speak Spanish would like to volunteer with us. You know, participating in activities, roundtables, webinars, things that makes it easy for people to just join in.
Okay, thank you very much, Otto. I appreciate the input. Who do I have next? Julia. And after Julia, it's Flavio. No, we have to unmute.
Sorry.
Okay.
I took notes. A good conversation. I'm enjoying this very much. Thank you all. So I think Glenn has hung out in our board meetings because he hit the nail on the head. We have a problem with analysis, paralysis via analysis. One of the things that we will focus on is going down to that management level, and there's that pushback on, you know, we're strategic thinkers, but we don't identify the work that needs to be done, nor do we measure the performance of what we're doing. So that is actually a conversation I just had with our executive committee the other day. So I think that it's that implementation, and we got to get past that analysis part to the implementation. I'm very interested in hearing more. And Donna, I had to chat with her and find out because I couldn't read my notes. So there was something that she mentioned, job board. I want to know more about that, and how can we take that concept, if it's what I think it is, and make that international. The other thing is, you know, Juan Negroni is Spanish English. So Otto, I'm going to pass that information on to him. And Rima, we have some courses I think we need to talk about. But the overarching thing for me is this international part. This is very intriguing. We have that as a topic at our upcoming conference. And how do we make that known to all of our members? What are you guys doing to connect your individual institute members to this international platform? Because I'm very intrigued with it. I'm also a little bit nervous about it because I only speak English. I'm not as talented as the rest of you on here. So that's very interesting, but thank you. I'll be quiet now.
Not at all. Thank you, Julia. That was perfect. So in terms of speakers, I've got Flavio, Chris, I saw you had your hand up, then Randy, Donna, I think I saw you indicating you wanted to respond to that, and then Rima. So we're getting a good list here, so that's great. Flavio.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be quick. I wanted to speak only to totally agree with Glenn about the lack of continuity problem in the terms of IMCs. For example, in Brazil, I was just talking to Luis at the break. Brazilian Institute has now 53 years old, and we have only 63 members in our institute and 15 CMCs. So among a lot of other issues, I think one of these issues is really the lack of continuity between the boards and the terms of only 2 years. So every 2 years, we have to rethink everything again and over again. So that's it. Only to agree with you. I think you really get to the point.
Okay. Thank you very much, Flavio. Chris Harper.
Yeah, thanks. I'll try to talk a little slower. I'm a fast talker, so I'll just let me know if I'm going too fast. Yeah, I just want to say, like, Glenn's comments resonated with me as well. I don't think like in Canada we have it all figured out, but I think our numbers are showing that we're making progress and going in the right direction. And I think that the reason for that is that, and the context to our participants here will be relevant, is that, in Canada, each of our provinces and some of our territories has a different certifying institutes. And part of the challenge we had was that to grow our national membership, which the international community cares about, we needed to grow our provincial and territorial memberships. In order to do that, we had to bring these groups together, help them communicate, help them collaborate, and help them act in a coordinated fashion. And I know Donna and others before her took the national organization through a bit of a transformation that focused on doing that. And now we have, through like our joint services committee, for example, we have our certifying institutes talking and building relationships on a regular basis, whereas normally it would be maybe at the AGM that we would get these kinds of conversations, and maybe at the board level we would, but we weren't certainly integrated in the past. And I think that has started to turn around. We are seeing our membership growth starting to happen. We are seeing a renewing or regreening of the membership, where we are starting to attract younger professionals. And we're doing that through connections with universities, connections with social media outreach, and creating content and professional development that's relevant to them. And why I wanted to say that was because when I look at the international community, in many ways, we still, we're like our provincial institutes. We have so many different organizations trying to achieve the same objective, but oftentimes doing so independently, and maybe assuming that there isn't relevancy because of the different geographies, cultures, and nations that are involved. And I think the first step would be to do more than having hubs, to have regular communication, share our resources, share our insights. And I've heard this before as well, like Glenn had said, but like let's be clients rather than consultants and actually like do it, right? Because my fear is that we have meetings like this, and then we all go back to our day jobs, like some of us already have partway through the meeting. And this kind of is like a meeting that falls behind on the calendar. And then, 6 months from now, we're having the same meeting, or we're having it in October, we're having the same conversations. And it's like, let's act, and let's act together, and let's just get it done. We'll get more done by acting than we will by talking. And so, we're not politicians. We are actually accountable for the stewardship of this organization and generating the outcomes that needs to be done. And so let's act. And that can be difficult, but I think when we've seen this coordination in Canada, this collaboration, that it's not a fast one. It's taken like 5 years to make happen. But I'll tell you, it was worth it. We're seeing good results. And I think we want to see results across the ICMCI community and make sure that we're supporting one another. And I know from a Canadian perspective, as always, not only do we have snow and maple syrup, but we're also always here to help out where we can. And if we have something that you think you would benefit from understanding further, Randy, Glenn, Donna, myself, Dwight, not to put something else on Dwight's plate, but we're always here to help out. And all you got to do is ask, right? Because we've made the offer. So
Thanks very much, Chris. And we do have great maple syrup too, for sure.
That's right.
Randy, you're next on my list, and then I have Donna and then Rima, and we will do a round table, so everybody's going to get a chance. So, Randy, you're next, please.
Thanks, Dwight. I just wanted to circle back and not to diminish anything that's been said before. I agree with all of it, but two things really stand out in my mind. We need to provide more value to younger management consultants. And I think we need to accept that most of those younger management consultants are either with large or medium-sized firms. So somehow we have to offer them value. And maybe that's career flexibility. We can talk about them or talk with them about the ability to have more control of their career development if they can move around, or look at going independent if that's the route they want to go. So how do we offer more value? I think we need to look at having younger delegates, more Chris's age than my age. I think that would help. And we need to, at least if we don't get full support from the firms that these people are working for, at least not have the firms put up roadblocks or be antagonistic to our efforts. So I just throw that out. I don't have a solution for those issues, but I think that's really, to a large extent, the crux of our issue going forward, of how to attract more younger members and provide them with more value. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Randy. Donna, over to you. And I know you've got a strong youth initiative going, so maybe whatever you're going to say, if you could add to Randy's comment as well, please.
Sure, yeah. So I'm not a CMC, I am a manager. So if that says anything in terms of how things have gone in Canada, I've held the position now interim a year ago in May, and officially since October, so not very long. And what I found at the beginning was that there was not as much communication as was necessary in order to move this forward collectively. There was so much duplication of efforts. The right people weren't sitting on the right committees. I don't know if you all know, but Chris mentioned it in terms of our certifying institutes are provincial. And so there's a lot of different legislation that goes on within the provinces of Canada. And then so basically what we try to do at CMC National is find a baseline where everyone can kind of, follow, where we can have some consistency somewhere. And really, when I mentioned earlier in terms of no borders, and I meant no borders, from country to country, but that also is relevant from province to province. Like, we've really just kind of, found the best way forward, the best practices that we can all operate under and have moved forward collectively in that manner. Not an easy feat. I sit on all committees, which is way too many committees, but necessary in order for the information to travel appropriately, to really put it into the terms of references of the committees that this is your path, stay on it. Don't, we're not talking about growth at advocacy, we're talking about advocacy and what that means to growth. And so the messaging that's created at advocacy, for example, is then shared at the growth committee. And it's a real, it's a real kind of roadmap, I guess you can say, but it has worked. At the end of June, we'll reach the total CMCs we had last year, 6 months in, so it's working. But it's all about communication and what, I presented an action plan to the board in December that would support, and I kind of went over it with you, but that would support our strategic plan. And it was about just, and Q1 was development and creation of these processes and of these communication lines to ensure that we were all on the same page. We were duplicating efforts across the country, and now it's really clear on who's doing what, how National CMC Canada can support the institutes. So that's kind of in terms of the management hat that I saw coming into this, is that it's a great organization. It's tons of value that I just don't think has been communicated to the level, like we talked about the higher level of management consulting. We just need to get it out there. And I think we've really focused on communicating that value to the marketplace. We always refer to, global designation, that it's recognized internationally, and that's huge as well. So that's one side of the thing, and the other side Chris touched on is that we're here, if to help if anyone. We have some good things going right now, and I have a lot of side questions in the chat, but I'll reiterate what Chris says. We're a good Canadian contingent on this call, and we're happy to help in any way possible in order to collectively, I think, move ahead. And so, as I say to the provinces across the country, I'll say here, let's not duplicate efforts where we don't have to. If an institute is already leading in an area, let's piggyback and let's work together.
Thanks, Donna. You mentioned certifying institutes a few times, but maybe just to make it really clear for everyone on the call, Canada at the institute level from the ICMCI perspective is our institute member, but then within Canada, there are 7 certifying institutes. So that means 7 membership committees, 7 registrars. It's like they're mini institutes in and of themselves. So Canada has experiences from their secretariat level at the national level of coordinating and collaborating across a number of different institutes. So I think that that experience does apply itself to the Americas as well, where we are a number of different institutes working and collaborating together. So I think the model does have some ability to expand. So I just wanted to elaborate on what a certifying institute was, Donna. Thanks. And then I was about the comment about young people and searching out getting younger, newer consultants on board. I know you haven't, there's an initiative in Canada on that one. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure. So we're focusing kind of on 2 areas. So young professionals in terms of I mentioned the gig economy earlier. We really are targeting that age group where they're guided by their expertise and not by where they work. So we're really focused in on them. And as well, we have an academic partner program that it's part of our target market. So SME, young professional, and academic partners. And what we do there is we partner with post-secondary institutions, so those that are accredited that have master or bachelor degrees, and we map their courses. And so when they do graduate, they have some of the courses that are necessary in order to obtain the designation. So they're halfway there per se. They get free membership. They have access to our member benefits. They have access to our communities. They have access to mentors. So really a great program for an institute to want to jump on because not only is it kind of providing, so the direction that we're taking is it's providing the institution the competitive edge, and how are they going to attract students within their programs? Well, they can do so by giving them 3 out of the 5 checklists, for example, in order to obtain your designation. So we're hopeful that we'll see a lot of uptake in that. And then from there, when a student does graduate, then they get 50% off of their fees the following year and 25% off year 2 post-grad. Keep them involved, keep them engaged, continue to show that value, get them a mentor, a sponsor, as they finish their journey to designation. So we're really hopeful because they're the cohorts of these universities are large, and so the more people that are part of this academic partner program, the better it is for succession, right? So we're really emphasizing this.
Okay, thanks very much, Don. I appreciate that. So we've got Rima on the list, and Gurgan, I've just added you to the list. Thank you. Rima?
I want to build on what has been said already. Flavio, with regards to the governance and the reinventing the wheel every couple of years, ICMCI was there up until 2015. And with our new governance, we actually addressed all such issues within our succession. So if you want to, and I can have a call, I can give you more insight into what our new governance is, and I believe that would help you. With regards to the collaboration, Julia, Donna, and Christopher, thank you. What I'm thinking of, instead of just looking at the Americas Hub, and sorry, that's what I do. I'm looking at all of the ICMCI. And yes, that's why I put on the call. If you have a resource that you believe would benefit every other IMC, let's put it out there for them. You will benefit because most probably it wouldn't be a service for free, and they will benefit because they wouldn't need to start from scratch. Donna, you just gave us an overview of a of a very important best practice in your academic program. So putting that into writing, telling all the IMCs what this program is all about and how it was successful in Canada. Don't you think that that as a best practice would actually get the eyeballs of every other IMC, and it could turn into some sort of a practice at all the IMCs? So please, let us cooperate and let us talk to each other. The problem that you have with the communication and having chapters within Canada talking to each other and the duplication of work, we have that at the level of ICMCI. And imagine how much time and effort we would be saving everyone, as well as how much we would be benefiting each other and how strong we will become if we actually address that and enhance our communication and collaborative issues. That's it. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the great ideas.
Thanks, Rima.
Just maybe quickly,
Donna,
yeah, if you don't mind, just for 2 seconds here, don't share this with anyone because it's in design right now, but I thought I'd just share it with you. It's our new flyer that we're going out with, Academic Partner Program, Give Your Institutes the Competitive Edge. And it really kind of outlines what the program is and how it will benefit recruitment, engagement, access, showcase, student benefits. So we go into all of the details there on a 2-page kind of nice looking design. So when that is done, I will be happy to share it with all of you.
Thank you. And we will have it in the newsletter as well, if that's okay with you, Donna.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanks, Gergana, over to you.
I have many things to say, but I will just focus on one thing, and this is now, hopefully in the future, we will implement different initiatives, not just talk about them. And this is again to tackle what Donna has said and what Rima have said about the young people. The idea behind the future of consulting is really to listen to what younger consultant needs, because maybe it will be easier to respond than to establish even a network of next gen consultants like many associations do. So this is one thing. But if Donna could listen to me, because I think we are working in one and the same direction. I have already discussed with Professor Julie Hodges, who is teaching management consulting in Durham University in the UK, that we will be maybe trying to get close all the university which teach management consulting. Maybe we could have a competition worldwide, a global competition, something which would reinforce your partnership, your relationship, and will make will increase the attractiveness of the university also to work through ICMCI. So I think great initiatives coming ahead. And I would very love if Donna could join the group and we could develop specifically the stream around young people. So it's good that we're all thinking in one and the same direction, and we could have really a truly global, because I think we have so much value around, and we need simply to excavate it and to boost it. And with very few initiatives, but with high impact, I think we could have quite a different meeting next year. I said I won't talk, but Dwight and I think are on one and the same opinion that we need maybe to structure what the hub should be at the global level. What the hub should like recommend, and it's not even in the governance structure. It should be included in the governance structure and should be empowered much more. Because I see that there were comments around the hub becoming stronger, and I also believe there is so much synergies which could be quick wins. It could be quick wins.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Lots to think about in that one. I wanted to add one comment from the observations of the ICMCI 2020 onwards task force, because there we were asking institutes about all kinds of things, their business model, their revenue streams, and so on. And the observation I had from the 30 plus, I think about 35 that I attended, is that those institutes that had professional non-consultant management so in other words, a full-time executive director of some sort, weathered the crisis of the pandemic much better, and are not suffering from the same kinds of membership drop-offs that the others are. So I just wanted to reinforce that comment that that Glenn had made much earlier on, that having this central focus in the Institute that's a paid staff person that knows what they're doing is really important. Dawn, I'd like you to please, can you say what is in your chat there, because I think that is a good update on some of the things that we've been saying, and might be leading towards an action plan coming out of this meeting.
What I was basically saying is that Glenn was right. We've been dancing around, and as I said in my response to your announcement about this event here, that it's good to see that you crystallized in this thing. So it's time for us to put together some immediate action points. I'm suggesting, and these are new. I've had these bullet points down for several years, for about 2 years, that we should go ahead and have our presidents across the aisle begin to speak to each other, particularly in the sub as such. We should take it even further, right? Because presidents come and go. We should formalize some sort of structure where we have an initial team going about formulating some things, right? And I'm going to stick to my guns that we need to find some things that young people would appreciate. They love to travel, they want to make money as such, and we can find ways to afford that, whether it's internships or whatever the case is. We need to really rally around that as such. Donna has some excellent ideas as such. And as Rima suggested, we need to have this discussion right now. I'll say this: ICMCI has already 2 MOUs with 2 universities, right? And I worked my tail off to make it happen as such, right? But the fork and knife members wanted contributing to really capitalize and make these things happen as such, right? So that's the level of support that we need across the aisle to help to make these things happen as such, right? And it's unfortunate that we now have this pandemic and the lockdown. Canada is really locked down as such. I have my 2 vaccination shots, I can travel as such, right? But we need to start planning and looking towards some event where we can get faces and names together as such. So I'm suggesting 3 action points, 3 immediate action points. 1, get the presidents talking to each other, okay? And maybe president, VP, whatever the case is. Have that action team, have that team, that core team, an official team, looking at putting together things immediately across the aisle. It doesn't just stop in the Americas, but it speaks how we can connect to the other hubs as well, right? But primarily the Americas. And the third point is to really look at those things, and even if we have to form some sort of special purpose vehicle that will look at projects that we can go after for our members, or suggest the membership to go after such collaborative kind of things. So there are 3 things that I tried to put in there to spur a discussion, because every institute will have their internal things and we'll be doing same things. But if we talk in the hub specifically, we're talking about getting together, then that's what we should do. And we can be a beacon, because we can take the lessons learned from the Asia hub, from the Americas hub as such, and we can do some things here. That's my 10 cents worth, Chairman's right.
Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate that. It always does come down to how do we make things actionable. I think there's been a lot of really good information coming through here. Before we start trying to summarize, and I know we're down to our last 8 minutes, is there anybody that has not had a chance to talk yet? I think everyone has. Okay, so any burning issues that's in anybody's mind that you'd like to get on the table before we start into our wrap down phase? So I quite like Don's action plan. Actually, it makes a lot of sense, because if we think at the governance level, a circle of chairs or a president's circle or president's council kind of makes sense, where it's not a huge amount of time, but once a quarter or so, if the chairs of the institutes got together just to compare notes and see where we're going, or as you said, Don, or the delegate of the chair. I know chairs are very busy from personal experience. And then the second is more the action team, which is kind of the executive director or the working level. How do we put into place actions that we've agreed that are important? So kind of getting the governance and the working levels going there, and then special initiatives which are one-off based on what the action team comes up with. I really like the idea. And, you know, we've talked about this a lot, but the idea of how do you build special projects or create projects for new members or younger members especially, or how do we involve them in different ways? If we were one of the big four consulting firms, you have that kind of built into your system. How do we build that kind of a system in ICMCI so that the more experienced consultants can bring on the willing hands and the young, energetic minds that can help us with our projects, and they can earn and they can learn both at the same time together? That would be, oh, learn and earn. I like that. So anyway, we could try to figure out those things. The other thing I wanted to put on the table in the last few minutes is that we are about to appoint a chair for the hubs. So while the hubs aren't formally in the governance structure, as Gargana said, they do have working terms of reference that are approved by the ICMCI board, and the board does appoint the hub chairs. So Glenn has served us very well. I'm sorry, Glenn is gone now. I should have thanked him before he left, but Glenn has served us very well as the hub chair for the last several years, and he's finishing his term as a delegate at the Institute in Canada. So his term as chair is coming to an end. So we will be looking to appoint a new hub chair soon. And I think that person will have a pretty central role in terms of thinking about how we get these things moving forward and how we keep everyone well connected. So if anyone has any nominations, or if anyone wants to put up your hand, do let me know. And otherwise, we'll be reaching out soon to get someone in place for the next hub chair. Rima, as executive director, any penultimate comments before I move on to the summary of action?
None, except to repeat, all the pains are the same, yet everyone is doing something at their level. Maybe if we unify, you actually would get rid of those pains and create new ones that are growth pains. So let's head there. Let's go there.
Okay, excellent. So my proposal for action going forward is that from the perspective of the board of ICMCI, we will work with the institutes in the region to come up with a new hub chair who would be in that role for the next 2 or 3 years. So someone who kind of is the central point. And with that person, then we can explore this idea of the president's circle. I really like that idea. And then secondly, the action team. And in terms of the action team, I think what we really do need to do is get together a bit of an agenda based on all these these great notes that we had from the meeting today. What are those things specifically that we've come up with this meeting? I think I don't have to summarize them. I think they kind of filter to the top in terms of things where we could benefit from collaboration with each other. And that team, which I would see as kind of the equivalent of the executive directors of the institutes, work together in terms of collaborating and solving problems together as opposed to individually, and including of course GI and some of that, because I think several times I heard people talking about how we could build them in. So any closing comments or thoughts or any improvements to that summary? Okay, excellent. So can everybody that's still here turn on the camera? We should try to get sort of the diehards that made it right to the meeting. We should get a screenshot for our social media.
Dwight, before we do that, there's a question from Greg in the chat, and he's asking, chairs come from IMC volunteers, leaders, or all IMC members? So if you may address that. Chairs of hubs, that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's something in the terms of reference on that. Do you recall, Rima?
Usually so far they've been delegates of their countries.
Yeah.
But since we don't have it written anywhere.
No, yeah, I think it's not formal. One of the things that we do like to think of it as kind of a training ground for people that would go on to other board positions at ICMCI, for instance, or heading a committee globally. So it is a way of learning about an institute and then moving on into other parts of the governance structure. But so no formal rules. So we're open on that. Okay, who's doing the screenshot?
I will. So
Okay.
if you all put on a smile. Thank you.
Okay.
Might be worth money someday, Rima.
Thank you very much, all. Well, just in the last minute that I have, I just want to thank everyone for being open and frank and really thinking outside of the box. We've said some things that could not have been said in this kind of a forum a few years ago when I first got involved. So I think we are moving on the right track, and there's lots of really positive energy I felt in this meeting, and it bodes well for our future. And I thank you all for your participation.
Can I say something?
You certainly can, Julia.
It would have been faster if I'd have just said it. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for making me feel welcome.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the club.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah. Family's better than club. Yes, Rima, you're right. Yes. And it is a family. Okay, all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Great session.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.